Indianapolis 2012. Hello everyone, it's the last part of round 15. You are watching Adam YURCHICK on the left of your screen against Alex HATFIELD. And there you see YURCHICK, highly successful pro over the years, up against Alex HATFIELD, who begins this game 2 1-0 up with Honda. And Sheldon, the matchup here, a couple of decks we've seen plenty of this weekend. Looks like we've got blue-white for Adam YURCHICK, so that's a sort of body in mind he's got going on in there. Stoneforge Mystics, Snapcasters, Click, Jace, Elspeth, blue-white control, essentially. And then on the other side, a deck that we've seen increasingly as the 2 days have worn on, if you like, a theme of the weekend, in fact. And this is
High Tide. Looks like Alex's version running 3 Candelabra instead of 4, and only 3 Turnabout instead of 4. Pact of Negation, 1 Flusterstorm, 1 Snap main.
Okay.
Cunning Wish, Time Spiral, Meditate, obviously the 4 High Tide. Merchant Scroll, Preordain, 4 times Ponder, and 4 times Brainstorm. Again, 2 of the cards we talked about all weekend as being very positive and powerful for controlling your library and getting to the cards you need. Obviously, both of these players have gone into the sideboards. HATFIELD packing Tormod's Crypt, packing Negation, a couple of Flusterstorms, a couple of Wipeaways, Ravenous Trap, Rebuild, Meditate, Blue Sun Zenith, Brain Freeze, and Turnabout.
So, Merchant Scrollers have been met by Spell Snare from Adam YURCHICK. Like 2 Force of Will currently in hand for HATFIELD. Seven land in play, 8 land in play.
It's like a record for the weekend.
And nothing else going on. Crazy.
So it's all islands on one side, all tundras on the other. Or I suppose if I listened to Rashad Miller, it's 3 Tundra. Three Tundra.
Okay.
There is JMS.
TMS.
You don't really put the T in there.
You call him Jace Mind Sculptor?
No, but when you're...
He's the Mind Sculptor. It's not like one of the Mind
It's
Sculptors.
like a capital T.
Oh, it really is.
Okay, I suppose he's not Jace, a Mind Sculptor.
No, and it's not just Jace the Mind Sculptor in the way he's like, Dan the Physician. or, Bill the Bread Maker.
Do you still have bread makers over there in the...
Yeah, generally in people's homes, we have a bread-making machine.
Right. For those of you who don't speak the Queen's English, bread makers are called bakers.
So often the way. Yeah. No, I always think of Jace the Mind Sculptor as a capital T in the sense that he is the only one. I mean, which doesn't make sense because I'm sure there are other planeswalkers who could sculpt minds perhaps not quite as well. But yeah, I've always thought of him as a uniquely the mind sculptor.
But there are other guys that sculpt minds.
Sure.
We may have drifted.
So if I say Mariano Rivera, the closer, do you think we've drifted a bit further?
Yeah, but he's not the only one, and he's probably not even the best.
Still the closer.
No, it's not.
We have drifted. And now, Jace the Mind Sculptor at 3.
9 lands in play.
Yes, that is our record.
Yeah.
We're edging toward being able to like hard cast all sorts of crazy things. I find body language. I'm not a student of body language at all. I'm very poor at that visual aspect, but I find it very interesting, perhaps because I'm so bad at recognizing it. But one thing you see at Magic events is when the pressure's on, you start seeing legs tremble.
Yeah.
And if you had a camera shot that was under the table at round 1 of a Pro Tour, just looking along the line at all the knees bouncing up and down as they get ready for round 1, honestly, players run miles during the shuffling for round 1 of a Pro Tour. I was just watching the tablecloth for Alex, just tremor. Yep. This one matters.
Stoneforge Mystic for Adam Yurchik, getting the Batter Skull. Adam Yurchik, well-storied pro career, certainly a U.S. national team member.
Yes, and extremely popular with it. I mean, there are a lot of people who were really made up for him. Grand Prix Minneapolis, 4th in 2005. Runner-up of GP Philadelphia, 2008. Same again, Oakland, 2010. And then finally, 2010, Houston, the win. And, to put it mildly, there was a sort of global outreach of congratulations to really one of those players who grew up through the game, early teenager, right the way through. Now here he is out the other side, whenever he's 23, 24, and still very well liked and respected.
So there's the 5th land for Alex Hatfield. There's the High Tide. We met with the battle. The battle for Middle Earth begins now.
Yeah, let battle commence. Absolutely. I am going to force that pitching the force. Okay. Let's have another counter spell from Adam. Still 6 cards in hand for Alex.
Yeah, that's got to be a little unsettling for Adam Yurchik. Even if this counter war gets won,
how do I then win the next one?
Right. Yeah. Alex has a grip full of cards.
The thing is, Alex, I believe, will feel he can win this one right here, right now.
Certainly, if that High Tide resolves.
Wow, Yurchik can force back. And the question is, if he doesn't, arguably he lets High Tide resolve. Alex is now, having done double force of will, pitch 2. That's 5 cards gone from his hand right here. High Tide, double force, double exile. Alex can't have that much more left in hand, just simply on raw numbers.
Right.
So, do you let another force?
Alex is looking for
Let's just do the stack kind of, can we, sort of?
good representation there. All we need is a couple of arrows pointing to the cards. There's Alex Hatfield. There's coverage reporter Frank Lepore.
I was wondering whether there was a case for YURCHICK to Flusterstorm. Oh, wow, seriously. Pay 1 with Storm. Oh, what a brutal series. We said let battle commence. They skipped the whole Helm's Deep. They went straight to the gates of Mordor. Wow.
Here's the Battle of Pelennor Fields laid bare. And now, I sure hope Alex, I don't know if we've seen the rest of his hand. This high tide revolves. He has a time spiral.
Yeah.
We probably could be.
And there is the time spiral. YURCHICK says, can I have a Snapcaster Mage? Can I spell? Yo, boy! Past the turn! Now that was the play of the weekend. Right there. That last 2 minutes. Awesome.
That's magic right there for you.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you for letting us see that live as it happened. Those are the ones that you hear stories about in the car on the way home, and you take it with a pinch of salt because you think it was probably only 2 force of will, and you probably just Flusterstormed this, and that was it, really. And you just embellished it a bit. Oh, wow. Snapcaster Mage into Counterspell.
Another Stoneforge. Getting the sword.
That was truly savage.
That was certainly a swingy turn. I mean, you know, we didn't see the entirety of both players' hands.
Well, I mean, we had a lot of information to go on there, though. And it was...
As it started. Here comes Snapcaster Mage.
Somebody won at the top tables.
In.
I think that's the Ben Friedman match just finishing.
So that's Merchant Scroll there for, yep, sure is. So Alex Hatfield's going to have to draw, going to have to use that Merchant Scroll to draw some cards.
This is going to be a responsive brainstorm from YURCHICK. Two to go back on top, of course, as always.
And certainly if he can keep Hatfield off of cards. He obviously doesn't know, Adam YURCHICK doesn't know Alex Hatfield's hand is just 2 fetch lands at this point.
Sure. So, Snapcaster, double Stoneforge Mystic. Brainstorm still resolving for YURCHICK prior to Merchant Scroll, hopefully resolving for Alex Hatfield. Alas, no. Play a land, pass the turn.
Here comes that Batterskull.
The sword.
Oh, it's the sword.
At least I think, I mean, can't quite.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah,
It's the sword.
Yep.
Oh, we put the Batterskull back on top with the Brainstorm.
Sword of Body and Mind. Protection from green, protection from blue. Whenever a quick creature deals combat damage to a player, you put a 2/2 wolf creature token onto the battlefield. That player, as you're seeing right now, is the top 10 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard.
Yeah, we can't forget in all of this, Adam YURCHICK also has Jace, the Mind Sculptor, on the battlefield.
a wolf token for YURCHICK.
So it's now or never for Alex Hatfield.
And the odds are on never. Never, nothing certain, but never's the correct call in this scenario.
Well, he's got a
Fetch land in hand.
fetch land in hand. He's got to draw a time spiral, right?
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable start, doesn't it? Meditate.
Drawing 4 cards doesn't do him any good if he can't play the big one.
Yeah, sure. Pass the turn. Status go. Yes.
That's it.
Well done. Correct answer. 1-1. And there's Adam YURCHICK.
Going to game 3, so it's all about the pressure now.
Yeah, so YURCHICK wins, he goes to 37. Hatfield wins, he goes to 39. 39 is obviously safe for Hatfield. YURCHICK, we think, may well be the top 37, potentially edging out the Goblin Charbelcher deck of Garrett Young, who, despite essentially losing the match 2-0 to Caleb Durwood, took an ID in the dying moments, as he's perfectly entitled to do. No sense of impropriety. That's how the last rounds do sometimes work out.
Every card in your hand is a card.
So we're heading for a decider. On the end of this round, there's always a gap. If you've not been to one of these events, the top 8 players have various little bits of housekeeping to do, some forms to fill in, top 8 profiles, they take the top 8 picks, they exchange deck lists sometimes, all that kind of good stuff. So we will be going off there at the end of this round once we know who the top 8 are. And then we'll gear up for our live coverage of the quarters, the semis, and of course the final as it happens from Grand Prix Indianapolis.
Good luck. You too. The solution to the shuffling problem is just riffle, but don't riffle up. Just do that. Yeah. Overhand works.
YURCHICK's one of those players who you're kind of quite glad he doesn't devote himself entirely to Magic, because when he did, he was a real heavy Magic Online player, and he was really good. Now he's one of those what I would call residually good players, who are, they've got so many miles on the clock that they have all the fundamentals down, they've done the lines of play thousands of times. What they don't have is, I have played this format against this match with this deck 20 times.
The sort of immersion in a format.
I guarantee Adam YURCHICK has not played 10 times against High Tide and Legacy. No way. Maybe that's an edge for Alex.
That turn 1 Candelabra also could be an edge.
Honda. Candelabra of Taurus. Costs 1, artifact, tap, untap, X target lands.
Which, of course, is a mana multiplier once High Tide is out.
Yep. Apparently, Tornos learned quickly from Urza that utter simplicity often led to wondrous yet subtle utility. That's an extremely appropriate set of flavour for that right there.
Still think my favorite flavor text is, "Sorry we burned down your village.
Here's some gold. Reparations, high five. Best ever. I agree entirely.
Even to this day, Mark Rosewater will tell you that's his favorite flavor text.
Yeah, he's on the money. There's an awful lot of political subtlety in 2 sentences in that one. And not a little European history.
There we see the time spiral already in Hatfield's hand to go with another brainstorm. Didn't quite catch what the rest of it was.
There's another candelabra, I believe.
Grand Prix competitors, that is time for the last round. Last round is over. Active player finish your turn. Take up to 5 additional turns.
Can we find out whether they have extra time or not? They have 6 minutes extra time. All right. Because
that's significant.
Is a really big deal. 6 minutes left. YURCHICK will go to 37. Hatfield will go to 37 with a draw, which might be enough. YURCHICK certainly has to win, straightforwardly. Oh boy. 6 minutes from a top 8 or not. 360 seconds to do something good.
Hatfield looking through it. He's certainly doing some math, not just for this turn, but working on next turn.
Having a plan, apparently quite good. I think it's going to be very tough for YURCHICK to actually win.
I agree.
At this point, in that, although his actual clock, once it's established, is in your kind of 3 to 4 turn range, getting to the point where he can actually run enough stuff out to have that clock, and yet still not leave him vulnerable to what Alex is doing. That's the conundrum.
Well,
I mean, this is a good start in as much as let's use your end step, let's have you tapped out.
The operative card in Hatfield's hand at the moment is that time spiral.
So, Flusterstorm, High Tide, Cunning Wish, Time Spiral, Force of Will, Force of Will.
He's got to take the time spiral, right?
Looks like he's taken nothing.
Get some confirmation from...
I don't believe he took it. Yeah. So you may choose a non-land card. I had a look. I decided I didn't want to give you something else. I know exactly what you've got. Why would I not know exactly what you've got? Your time spiral is a million miles away right now.
Interesting play. That's what makes a guy like Adam YURCHICK a top flight player. I mean,
May, most important month in Magic.
Can we get alerted when they start extra turns?
I believe they're 4 minutes into their 6. A little look at the new daylight savings clock of doom.
There we see Stoneforge Mystic for Adam. I think in the time left, the sort of body and mind is a victory path.
Okay.
I don't think the batter skull deals enough damage.
So we're into fight mode. High Tide from Hatfield, Force of Will, Pitch from YURCHICK.
YURCHICK, knowing that Hatfield has two forces,
at least two.
Force of Will.
Yes. You see YURCHICK crossing out at the top of the screen on his pad what Alex now has. And we're good to go. Alex is in business. Candelabra untaps the lands. Brace yourselves, boys and girls. Please, sir, may I have a time spiral?
Nothing boarding up. One left.
Yes. That's what seems to be happening there.
So
YURCHICK is shuffling away.
Alex Hatfield will start his storm count as well as mana count. And again, one of the downsides of the High Tide deck is that it can simply run out of gas at a certain point if he doesn't draw the draw spells.
So, we came to the conclusion, the non-scientific conclusion, that drawing 7 off Time Spiral and then brainstorming and then fizzling against no counter magic on the other side was pretty unlikely. One of the many reasons Tom Martell's been smiling this weekend.
Yes.
But to see that twice on camera, Time Spiral into 7 and then see more and still fizzle, that seems extremely unlikely. You've got to think that this is not about what Hatfield draws, this is about does YURCHICK find the 1 force, 2 force, 3 force with accompanying blue cards.
Well, 3 force would be
ridiculously unlikely. Of course. Well, there's 3 different outcomes. Surely they're all equally as likely.
Yes. Yeah.
So hard when someone starts that routine.
Well, and remember, Adam YURCHICK still also has lands untapped. So, strap in, boys and girls. Alex Hatfield has resolved a Time Spiral and a High Tide.
He has another High Tide in hand, I believe. He has double turnabout. Oh, that's so meditate.
And there's a meditate. I think that's High Tide, fetch land, obviously.
So there's Flooded Strand, and now here's Meditate. So,
natural counterspell.
You said YURCHICK had mana. He does.
And he only has to tap 1 mana for it because of the High Tide.
Yeah, 1 land.
Or 1 land
2
for
mana.
it.
Yeah.
That's a pact of negation there in Alex Hatfield's hand. He's playing one of those main deck and a couple more in the sideboard.
Yeah.
There is the pact of negation.
Saying, I would really like to draw 4 cards.
Can't really see Adam YURCHICK's hand. He's got it angled away from the camera.
Disgraceful.
Bit of crowd starting to gather around the Hatfield YURCHICK match.
And I would imagine that some of those people watching are close friends of players who are on 37 points and thinking quite seriously about what's going on. Here's Force of Will from YURCHICK. The Meditate is still waiting to either happen or not.
Looks like not.
It looks like or not. That looks like now we're down to double High Tide, double Turnabout is the hand for Hatfield.
So he's going to need to draw some.
So YURCHICK will send, including Mishra's Factory. Wow, this is getting good. Again, high tide just brings you really good matches. Not necessarily historically, but this weekend they will be really good.
It's like there's some disagreement on Hatfield's life total. 8 seems to be correct.
YURCHIK still has Force of Will in hand. He drew pretty nicely over that time.
He certainly did.
Had a counter spell, had 2 Force of Will, and now the means to use both of them.
So Alex Hatfield is basically down to top decking.
Pact of Negation. He cast.
He did.
Did it get countered? With the Force?
No, I think he Force of Willed the Meditate.
Okay.
So Hatfield's going to have to play a high tide on his upkeep in order to have enough mana to pay for the pact.
That's right, yeah. Sounds about right. So he's drawn, and I think YURCHIK has just gone, what about the pact? That
There it is!
is game to Adam YURCHIK, who's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's clear Alex Hatfield forgot, because he certainly could have played a high tide, had it resolved, then he's got enough mana to at least pay for the pact.
So
he's got turnabouts. He's got turnabouts. Yeah, you put the pact of negation trigger on the stack.
Yep.
You can obviously respond to it.
So you need to pay 5.
He can play some turnabouts.
So he spends 2 to generate the high tide, and he's got 6, pays for that. How much mana does he have left?
Well,
yeah, so he's fine. He's got plenty to get going.
Yeah, no.
Then he just has to draw